and welcome to a video where I'm going to tell you guys the top 10 books or series that I read in 2015. And these are going to be in no particular order because that would just be cruel to myself. And I don't feel like putting myself through that cruelty. So I am just going to spit out my top 10 favorite books slash series that I read in 2015 and let you guys just, go and explore and read and love them yourselves. So let's begin. Book number 1 is actually a series, and it's the Arcana Chronicles series by Kresley Cole. It's a new adult series based on the apocalypse, which is one of my guilty pleasures, and it's about the apocalypse, and the characters are all reincarnations of the Arcana cards in tarot cards, and so there's like the Empress and the Hanging Man, and death and other things, and it's really interesting, and I was going into it not really expecting much, but it was mind-blowingly good, and I devoured all 3 books in the series that are out so far and just loved them. I think there's either going to be 5 or 6 books in the series, I can't remember which one, and number 4 is set to come out this year, so that makes me very happy. Book number 2 that I read and loved, I actually have a physical copy for, and it is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and I loved the series, and again, the second book in the series is going to be coming out sometime this year. But basically, A Darker Shade of Magic is about the main character is a male, and he can travel through different parallel Londons, and he does it, or is supposed to do it, for diplomatic reasons, and that's it, but he kind of smuggles things back and forth, and he's not supposed to. Eventually, this gets him into trouble, and then chaos and wonderful storytelling resumes and resides in that book. Number 3 is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and this was the first book of a new series by the wonderful Sarah J. Maas, and it's basically has retellings in it, as well as fairies and wonderful things. So the first book was kind of a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and at first didn't really like it because the similarities were just too much. But for some reason, a common theme with me, like any Sarah J. Maas book, you keep plugging away and you end up loving it and adoring it, and I cannot wait for the second book to come out to see if all of my theories are going to be true. Book number 4 was The Indigo Spell by Rochelle Mead, and that was the 3rd book of the Bloodline series. I really liked the Bloodline series a lot, but I liked the Vampire Academy series better, and I gave most of those, a good 5 stars, and this one series was good, but not as good, but I think this was the best book of the series for me, and since it's the 3rd book, I really can't tell you what it's about, and since, again, it's kind of a spin-off of another series, can't really tell you what it's about, but it was good, so, there we go. Book number 5 was the last book of a series, and that was Ensnared by A.J. Howard, and it was the 3rd book to the Splintered series, that's what it's called. And basically it is a take on Alice in Wonderland, and I loved Ensnared because it was just such a different book series than anything that I had read. It was kind of dark and a little bit twisted. It was kind of like a Tim Burton book, if that, is possible, and it was brilliant. And so I loved the ending to the series, and I really enjoyed the book, and I loved the series, and so of course I had to put it in here. Book number 6 is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, that's right, Sarah J. Maas makes it in here twice because she's a brilliant genius who is multitasking in 2 different book series, so good for her. You go, girl. You go, Clint Coco. Queen of Shadows was the 4th book to the Throne of Glass series, and this series, every book has just gotten better and better and better, and I can't even describe to you, this was the first book that really started getting me out of my reading slump. I haven't necessarily gotten there yet, but it was the first book in a long time that I was actually able to sit down and read, and I couldn't stop reading. So thank God for Sarah J. Maas. Number 7 is going to be a first 2 volumes of the series. I haven't finished the series yet, but it's Saga by, I don't even know who this is by, Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I don't know which one's the author, which one's the illustrator, if they both are, I have no idea. All I know is that these are adult graphic novels, so also be aware of that. They're adult graphic novels but they are so good, and the great thing about them is that you can flip through and read them in a day, and it's perfectly fantastic and wonderful, and I can't wait to read more of the series. And I wasn't expecting to really like it as much as I was, but I wanted to branch out a little bit and do some graphic novels, and that's the only graphic novel I got to in 2015, and that's okay because I absolutely adored it. Book number 8 is The Deal by L. Kennedy, and as you can tell, this is also another adult contemporary book, so that's another little warning for everyone who is not mature enough to read and take in these types of books. This is another book that I wasn't expecting much out of, and that I just wanted something that was just a quick, easy read that didn't really require me to think, and this one was so good, and I devoured it and loved it, and I haven't read a great contemporary book like that in a long time since that book, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. That's why it's on the top 10. Book number 9 is a series, and that is the Bone Season series, with the Bone Season and then also the Mime Order, and the next book of the series should be coming out in 2016, but we shall see. This book series is so complex, and you just never know what to expect after every turn, and it's just basically you should go to either Amazon or Goodreads and read the description, because even then it's just more mind-blowing and complex than that. I'm not gonna lie, I read the synopsis and I was just kind of still confused about what this book was about, but one of the main reasons why I started the book was because the main character's name was Paige, and you don't get that very often, so I thought I'd give it a try, and it's wonderful and fantastic and it's so good. Lastly, book number 10 is a series that I was not expecting to like at all, but there was just so much hype about it that I gave in and gave it a try, and I'm glad I did, and that is the Selection series, and I really, really was surprised by it. It's not the greatest piece of literature, okay people, but if you enjoy The Bachelor, which I do, or I did, I haven't really watched it recently, but if you enjoy like The Bachelor and like pretty ball gowns and stuff like that, you will enjoy this, and it's a fast, easy read, and it's just good, okay? It's a guilty pleasure. So those are the best books that I read. If you have any disagreements, agreements, or any suggestions about books that you read in 2015 that I didn't mention that you absolutely loved and adored, please comment down below, and I love to discuss books and stuff like that with you guys. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Goodreads and Twitter and Instagram, and those links are all down below in the About section, as well as all the books that I mentioned. There is a Goodreads link also down below. So lots of goodies down below, and hopefully some great comments, and we can discuss les books. So until later, bye! So usually I would do a Bring It On books for the upcoming month and talk about the books that I'm looking forward to coming out. Well, since that didn't happen for August, September, October,